Greetings, everyone. The names of our group members are Ms. Yugita C. Mangal, Ms. Melissa Mangal, Sir Dion Diobrashad, Sir Shalim Sultan, and myself, Ms. Rachel Jainari. Our discussion is based on multiple intelligence in grade 7, where subtopics are extracted from the grade 7 Integrated Science Consolidated Curriculum Guide. Now, let me enlighten you about what is multiple intelligence. Multiple intelligence refers to a theory that describes the different ways students of any age and level learn and obtain information. Multiple intelligence was developed by Dr. Howard Gardner in 1983. He was a professor at the Harvard University. Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence proposes that people are not born with all of the intelligence they will ever have. 8 of these intelligence include visual, verbal, musical, logical, interpersonal, intrapersonal, neutralistic, and bodily kinesthetic.
To delve into the discussion, I'll be examining the verbal linguistic intelligence, which is the ability to speak and express ourselves. It is an element that distinguishes us as human beings. Since childhood, we listen and observe the relationship songs that have their meaning. Currently, verbal and linguistic skills are constantly evaluated in school. Yet, little we know the possibility of its simulation and so its development. Now, how these learners learn best? People with verbal linguistic learning styles learn best when they are taught using spoken or written materials. They may prefer activities that are based on language, reasoning, rather than abstract visual information. Mathematical problems are more appealing to verbal linguistic learners than solving equations. They usually enjoy written projects, speech, drama classes, debate, language classes, and journalism. Verbal linguistic learners may have a harder time at hands-on coordination or visual spatial tasks. They also find it difficult to interpret visual presentation of information. For example, it may be harder for a verbal linguistic learner to read a chart, interpret graph, or understand a mind map. So my question to the panel here, what do you think are some best learning activities to enhance a linguistic intelligence learner?
I would say verbal lessons or reading materials.
Right. So there are different learning activities that we may have. We may have verbal lessons, reading material, math story problems.
Written project could be one.
Right. Or
Yeah.
presentation project as well. Now, what are some less successful learning activities?
Let's say we're talking about math problem, but let's say it's like pure math problem. If you understand where I'm coming from, yeah. What about just abstract visuals like normal charts?
Or graphs.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or hands-on project that has minimal verbal or written instructions to it, right? Mostly pictures or so forth. Or projects relying on hands-eye coordination. Now, some activities that you can develop to enhance verbal linguistic intelligence with your students is you can give them to write a diary. Now, writing about personal experience, facts, stories promote the acquisition of vocabulary and development of expression through language. They can read a book. They can join a book club that encourages discussion, debate, and even interpersonal relationships. They may learn a new language. They can take part in debate. Debates simulates the organization of ideas and coherent expressions, and further debating with others encourages development of ability to use language orally. Now, all in all, verbal intelligence refers to an individual's ability to understand and manipulate words and language. In a classroom, supporting and developing linguistic intelligence involves encouraging the learner to enjoy real communication through reading, writing, speaking, and listening. This allows the learner to see the purpose of the language and helps them to take an interest in it. The two learning experience identified using the topic selected in grade 7 curriculum were observing learning video on animal and plants in the environment and listening and discussing a reading resource on the different types of environment and plant. By observing and discussing with their classmates, students involves the sensitivity to spoken and written language, the ability to learn language, and the capacity to use language to accomplish certain goals. Now, for the assessment, students can enhance their smartness because discussion adds to interest. It engages the student. It provides a student feedback. It also encourages dialogue between and among the students. It can be used to develop important speaking skills and to develop or give students the opportunity to practice using the language of discipline. Ms. Simangal, why don't you shed some light on interpersonal intelligence?
Yes, so the interpersonal intelligence, it has to do with one's ability to communicate effectively with others verbally and non-verbally. It has some connections with linguistic intelligence as well. Now, these type of people that are intelligent in interpersonal aspect, they excel in social situations. They are able to understand diverse perspective, and so it is important for teachers to create such an environment. Sir Dear Prashad, could you please tell us what a teacher can do or what a teacher can possibly do to create such an environment?
All right, so teachers can tap into the skills with the use of classroom activities such as discussions, building relationships with students, etc. Now, these smartness works well with other types of smartness, for instance, linguistics, intelligence, and naturalistic.
Yes, that's
Now,
like what I mentioned before.
right.
And also for at the secondary level, like our colleague mentioned before, we're looking at the grade 7. Our subtopic for the interpersonal intelligence, is the usefulness of plants and animals in the environment. The learning experiences of these students, they would have already had some knowledge on the purpose of plants and animals in the environment. Let's say the agriculture purpose of animals and the medicinal purposes of or medical purpose of plants. So based on their learning experiences, activities like, let's say, for example, group discussions. Teachers can use group discussions now to help students develop interpersonal intelligence skills. How can that happen? They place students in groups and have them to discuss the uses of plants and animals within the environment, and then they tap into now how these plants and animals, their uses, how it contributes to economic development. Now, through doing that, group discussion helps to create cohesiveness in the classroom, and it caters to diversity as well. It helps students to communicate, exchange ideas, and to understand the body language of the students, of each other in the group. Because as we say before, nonverbal and verbal. Now, they're also allowed to justify their answers whenever teachers would ask, or whenever their peers would ask why and how. If they're discussing something, questions like those will arise. And so these students have an opportunity to express themselves, and that is how they develop interpersonal intelligence. Now, this here solidifies Lev Vygotsky's theory as well, because he believes that social interaction is, they learn better when they interact with others. They tend to exchange ideas, they tend to to learn from each other's experiences. Another thing that group discussion does is that it develops coping skills that are crucial to dealing with different human perspectives or personalities, and it caters to lifelong learning as well. Now, in summary, interpersonal intelligence is the ability to communicate effectively, non-verbally and verbally. Based on the students' learning experiences, you have them to discuss the topic that would lead up to something new. And after you do that, you ensure that they have this interaction among themselves and with the teacher as well, so that they can develop this confidence to be able to function well in social situations.
Okay, I'll be looking at naturalistic intelligence. Basically, naturalistic intelligence is also known as nature smart. It basically can be defined as the capacity to appreciate, analyze, classify, and connect ordinary items to nature. We were basically born with a natural curiosity to know everything around us. Be it in nature, we want to investigate, we want to know about. As a result, we enjoy classifying or characterizing the qualities and the common associate aspects of items. Naturalistic intelligence is one of the intelligence that we can develop whether early in our lifetime or late in our life. We can see that all children are born with naturalistic intelligence. Little by little, they would explore whether it's the world, whether it's plants or animals, and they will develop that intelligence. Naturalistic intelligence is basically the last intelligence that was added by Howard Gardner in 1997. It is important also to note that naturalistic intelligence learners basically have a connection with nature. They enjoy the opportunity of exploring animals, dealing with plants, dealing with weather, and so on. Learners can be involved in activities that will help their curiosity with nature. For example, they can plant a seed. They can observe the stages of the growth of the seed. They can also volunteer to work with vets to learn to develop or to learn about the basic or common sickness that these animals have.
So two learning experiences that can help students with this intelligence. Number one, identifying helpful animals and plants in the environment. Learners will be able to develop an appreciation and care for bees as they are powerful pollinators and understand how aloe vera acts as an air purifier. The second learning experience, taking care of plants and animals. This will help the learners to be educated about the fertilizers and other care necessary to help keep plants healthy. Learners will develop a relationship of trust and affection with the animals, and at the same time gaining knowledge about their needs and how they can be met. An activity that would also help the students is a field trip to a local farm surrounded by flora and fauna and make notes of the observations. The students will visit a local farm that is close to the school. The students will study the environment surrounded by flora and fauna, and the students will write down any observation made.
So from your activity, you said that when they go on the field trip, I'm starting to think that they can also develop their interpersonal intelligence. When they go on the field trip, they'll be discussing among each other, among themselves. And that right there would foster communication. They will be asking questions. They'll, as you say, as you guys mentioned before, that naturalistic intelligence has to do with being curious. And when you're curious, you ask questions, you want to communicate more. So that right there, that will develop their interpersonal intelligence as well.
As well as their language or linguistic intelligence. but thereby discussing, expressing themselves, and taking notes also.
That is so true. And this sums up our discussion on Dr. Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. Thank you all for participating in this discussion.
You're welcome.
Welcome.